Hi, my name is Aliza from Seam So Easy, www.seamsoeasy.com. I've been sewing for 15 years and today I'm going to show you some techniques. I'm going to show you how to choose a stitch on your machine. The numbers up here correspond the numbers on this. So you turn this dial, which is your stitch selector guide, to whatever stitch you want. Today we're going to start with number 1, which is just a straight stitch. This is your stitch length dial, and that allows you to choose how long or short you want your stitch. I will show you that. This is a stitch width dial. Now on a straight stitch that makes no difference, but when it gets to a zigzag it will make a difference, and I will show you the different options available. This little dial here is your tension disc. It starts with 0, which means no tension, and goes up to a 9, which is a very tight tension. We generally sew on anything between a 3 and a 5, which is a medium tension. Now the tension simply means that you're controlling how tightly this top thread goes down. Alright, so let's start. This is what a regular stitch would be like. So we're choosing number 1, which is a straight stitch, on a very small stitch. Put your needle down, start sewing. This little button is for anchoring your thread. It's to make sure your thread doesn't come out. As you can see, it's a quite short stitch. If we increase that to a number 3, it's a slightly longer stitch. That's number 4, which is the longer stitch. Anything beyond that, you're getting into a basting stitch, which is very long and not always suitable, but it depends entirely on the project that you're sewing. Let's go back to a 3. This is that stitch with a 0 tension, which means a very loose tension. As you can see, I'm having trouble undoing it, but the thread sits in bunches at the top of the fabric. Your perfect tension means your thread has to sit flat on your fabric. I will show you what the tightest tension does. Can you see how the fabric starts to pucker? So that's because the thread is going in is too tight. The next stitch I'll show you will be an even stitch. This will change dependent on what sort of project you do, but it's always advisable that before you start your project you take a little piece of fabric and get your tensions right. We'll now move to a zigzag stitch, which is the number 2 stitch, and in this stitch then the stitch width also comes into play. So keeping our stitches small, we'll start it on a 3. You can see how wide that stitch is, as in the length between the stitches is quite wide. You can reduce that by going to a 2. You can increase it by going to a 4. we go back to a 3. I will also show you what the stitch width does. Now this is a number 1 width. As you can see, it's barely non-existent because the width of the stitch. What we're asking the machine to do is to sew on no width at all. If we went to a 5, it would be a very wide stitch. So dependent on your project, you might need a very wide or very close stitch. Like that. The choices are, there are quite a few choices obviously, but it depends on what you're sewing and for what purpose you're using it. So if you were doing it to do a hem or something that's going to take a lot of wear and tear, then you want quite a wide stitch which is quite close together. And that's how you choose the different stitches.